Hey everybody, welcome to this sort of news of the day type video. Let's get right into it instead of trying to explain it away. Um, First up, main title, are teams scared to face Carey Price in a three-game play-in? He's healthy, he's rested, and he does have pretty good numbers for playoffs. He's going to be one of 10 goalies that qualify who have played 60 or more playoff games. He has a record, I believe, of 25 and 31. I don't know where the other, because 25 and 31 is 56. So either he was pulled and didn't get the decision on the other games, or it's a mystery. He's got a 2.53 goals against, I believe, and a 9.14 save percentage. So in his playoff career, so those are good numbers, but they're not godlike numbers. I don't know why players would fear him more than any other goalie who was hot at the time. I guess they just figure Carey Price has more likelihood of being hot to start the playoffs when he is healthy, rested, and all those things. So apparently this is really true, because I thought it's probably a joke, but apparently it's really true. Elliot Friedman is reporting this. I'm going to paraphrase what he said. So the NHLPA did not think it was fair for teams that had better regular season records to play short best-of-3 series, especially the teams who would have to play Montreal and Chicago with Carey Price and Patrick Kane, respectively. Apparently, though, it was more Pittsburgh being outspoken, especially having to play Carey Price, and because Carey Price could literally steal a three-game series. Pittsburgh was pretty much in the play. They were almost in the playoffs when it was suspended. They were on the verge of being one of the teams that were in. Montreal, let's face it, was not going to make the playoffs. Neither was Chicago. So I can understand where they'd be kind of upset, but I mean, if they're professional players and they believe they're better and all that, then it shouldn't bother them who they have to play against. Really, it really shouldn't. They should be able to beat whoever they have to. But apparently, this is a real thing. Carey Price is a very respected goalie. I know a lot of people out there like to say when the Habs are playing bad how garbage he is and all that stuff about him. But the players don't feel that way. That's for sure. Apparently, with Patrick Kane, though, on the other side, it wasn't as strong as it was for the Penguins, who didn't want to play Carey Price in a short series, but it was between the two of them. That's why they ended up, I would think it's one of the main reasons why they ended up going for the best of five. So that's apparently been decided as well. It's going to be a best of five series for the play-in. It's not part of the playoffs. Remember that. There's a play-in to get into the playoffs. So the Habs have not made the playoffs, but they might. Now, the NHLPA also voted last night, I believe it was, to accept the NHL's proposal for the 2014 format. So that format is this here. I know I kind of went over it the other day in a video. It wasn't for sure, obviously. And I forgot to mention to read the matchups, although you guys probably know them already by now, because I'm only 2 or 3 days late. But these look like the matchups that will be in the seating order. It's not decided, I guess, yet whether it's going to be 2 hub cities or 4. So depending on that, you might have 6 teams each hub. Therefore, the bracket would stay that way. If you go 2 hubs and you'd have the 12 teams, you might be able to reseed after the play-in, and it might not necessarily be that Toronto and Columbus, whoever wins, plays Boston. It may be that Toronto and Columbus, whoever wins, could play Tampa Bay, something like that, depending on what they decide. So the matchups are Toronto, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Montreal, Carolina, the Rangers, the Islanders and the Penguins and the Panthers, the Flames and the Jets, the Oilers and the Hawks, the Predators and the Coyotes, and the Canucks and the Minnesota Wild. Those will be the best of 5 play-in series, and I guess we'll go from there. And I imagine in the next week or so, because this is just they settle on what the format's going to be. This does not mean hockey is starting up yet. That's still yet to be decided 100%. I would expect sometime in the next hard to put a timeline because every time I say I expect them to announce something, it takes longer. But sometime in the next week or so, they're going to have to announce whether they're coming back or they're not. And then again, who knows? They might even take longer. But this isn't official that they're coming back to play hockey. But it gets them a little farther down the road. So like I said, that is going to be the matchups. This could end up having a Toronto-Montreal series possibility if both teams win their play-ins and win the first round of the playoffs. Montreal and Toronto in this format and from this bracket would face off for the first time. I want to say 74, but it could be 77. I don't remember what year, but I think 74 is the last one I remember. I have a clear memory of something that happened back in the 70s. You didn't hear any swearing on TV. And I just remember, I think it was Ian Turnbull, face off or something. He lifted his head and he just off to somebody. And it was clear as a bell through the whole house. And I'll just never forget that. So these are the formats. Now, I had heard something about, this I didn't add, the mini round robin tournament. They announced they might do a mini round robin tournament for the bye teams to maybe reseed those. So they would play this tournament and the results would determine 1, 2, 3, 4. That I heard was voted down, but it wasn't from a great source. I won't say the source was as good as an Elliot Friedman, so I don't know if that's for sure or not. What else? Okay, let's get to the rest of the news. The draft, obviously, I don't think the draft will be in June. They said they're going to need a month in between announcing that the draft would be in June and actually pulling it off. We're at the end of May. I don't think the draft is going to be in June. I don't think the draft is going to be before they play. But if they really take as long as it seems to get started, I don't know when they're going to do the draft in the free agent period. So I'm just saying I don't think the draft will be in June. Contracts won't expire June 30th. That's clear. Contracts won't expire June 30th, and therefore the UFA, the free agent period, won't start on July 1st. That'll be to be determined. They'll have to figure out when this season's going to finish actually, and that's when contracts will expire, and the next day free agent period will start. And I think it will be a lot quicker. Usually it's a couple of weeks after the season ends. When that happens, I think it'll be pretty much within the next day or two after this time when they finish. Playoffs are done. Stanley Cup champions awarded. Next day after that, I think you're going to have contracts done and free agent period starts. That's my opinion. I didn't hear anything like that. That's my opinion. Remember, there are 7 teams that don't make these play-in and playoffs. So that's 7 teams that don't know when they're going to play again. Will it be October? It won't be October. December, January, they don't know when they're going to play again. So that's 7 teams with a long time with no hockey for them. Now, this is stuff in no particular order. Conditional picks, just to remind you guys of some of these things. Conditional picks, so there's players that teams that have conditional first rounder. I think New Jersey has either given one out or gotten one in a trade, and they might want to renegotiate that. Whoever gave it to them or whoever they gave theirs to, they might want to renegotiate that. Teams that have second and third and fourth round conditional picks, you can renegotiate. Doesn't mean they will do it, but they can. And remember, it's 2 sides, so not as easy as just to say it. Just to remind again, the play-in is not a playoffs. So I know I've been saying it, the Habs are going to make the playoffs. No, the Habs are going to make the play-ins, and if they win, they'll make the playoffs. Okay, we went through this. Now, here's a good question that could affect how the Habs do. Max Domi is a type 1 diabetic. There's other players in the league that I don't know if they're diabetics, but they might have asthma, they might have this, that, underlying conditions that are acutely affected by COVID. Are they going to play? Are they going to take a chance to play when there's no treatment and there's no vaccine? I say I don't think so. I really don't think Max Domi will play, and that could make a huge difference. So for everybody, I don't know if everyone's considering this when they say, well, we'll beat the Penguins, but we're probably going to be doing that without Domi, who's a big piece to this puzzle of Montreal, especially when he's on his game. having him outside the lineup is going to make a big difference, especially there's one of our centers gone. So I don't know if a lot of people are considering this. Max Domi probably won't be playing, and that could have a huge effect on how the Habs do. Playoffs or high draft pick. Which do you want as a Habs fan? Which is better for the Montreal Canadiens going forward? Making the playoffs and seeing how far they can go, or losing in the play-in and retaining their 8th pick and getting could be I want to say an elite. There's no generational players there. I don't think an elite forward, or I don't think they're going to go for goalie, but an elite forward or defenseman. Or take a chance that you win the cup, because honestly, here's my feeling about it. I want them to make the playoffs, and yes, I do. But are they going to win the Stanley Cup? They could. I don't really want to put all my money on that fact. So when you have, it's not once in a lifetime, but it's not often you get an 8th overall pick, and maybe they can trade up and get better, or win the lottery and get it higher. It's not often you get that. It's a really good draft. They're going to get a really good player. I don't know if it's worth it to lose in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round of the playoffs and lose that. If they lose the play-in, it's not 100% sure decided this way, but if they lose the play-in, their 8th position shouldn't change. I believe that's what I've read so far. So they won't lose their position. But if they make the playoffs, they lose 8, and the best they get is 16th. So it makes a huge difference. I don't know. For me, I'd like to see them maybe go the 5 games against Pittsburgh and they lose. I know it's bad to say, and when I'm watching, I'm not going to feel that. When I'm watching, I want them to win. But really, unless they win the Stanley Cup, it's not worth it to them to go far into these playoffs. It really isn't. So it depends how you feel. And that's something, leave a comment in the comment section. You think I'm crazy? You think I'm probably going to get some heat on that. But how do you guys feel about that question? Now, who could... okay, just in case I don't... This does not mean hockey is starting up again for sure. I said that already. Who could be the biggest winners and losers in these weird playoffs? That's a pretty big question. Who could be the biggest winners and losers? I don't know. I think any of the teams like a Pittsburgh, if Pittsburgh loses to Montreal, there's a big loser, because Montreal shouldn't have made the playoffs. So any of the teams like Edmonton playing against Chicago, if Edmonton loses against Chicago, I don't know which were the worst teams. There's 2 other teams out there, but I think any of the teams, the teams that were in the wild card spots that looked like they were going to make it in, if they don't advance, these are the losers. Does Montreal win or lose? I think Montreal could lose if they make it to the playoffs, win their play-in, and then lose the next round or the round after that. I think that's a loss for Montreal. So I think there could be some really big winners and some big losers. I really do. Boston, St. Louis, who are #1 seeds in their conferences. Who knows how they come back to play after all this? Teams could play differently. You never know what's going to happen after a long layoff like this. Everybody's healthy. Yeah, I'm sure teams are coming back a lot healthier and all that, and I get that. But you also don't know. Look, a Stanley Cup team could be, on top of the world next season, and they're in the middle of the pack. It happens. This could happen here. So those could be the losers. There's not really a big answer till we go through the playoffs. And I'm probably saying it badly. But I think any of the teams that have to play the fringe teams, and they just didn't have it, they didn't bring it with them. It's that, like I said, that drop off from a delay like that. Those are the losers. But there's going to be some big winners. There's going to be some surprises. There's going to be somebody here. Maybe there's another St. Louis here that gets a chance, comes from the back of the pack like Montreal. It could happen. But I don't know. So I think there you go. I think that's everything I wanted to say. I'm going to watch it, and if I didn't like it, it won't go out there, but I hope it came out okay. This is only like the 7th or 8th take that I'm doing to try to get this video in, and some of you are going to watch this and say, yeah, I can tell that was a 7th or 8th take. He's not doing a good job. And some of you might like it. I don't know. I'm going to watch it and see. I probably shouldn't have said any of that to you guys, but thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. And leave any comments you may have about anything I said here in the comment section. What you think about that question. Will Max Domi play? What do you think? Will that make a difference to the Habs' chances? And could the Habs be big losers here by losing their draft position that they have right now? So let me know in the comment section. And while you're on the way down there to do that, or while you're down there doing that, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, ring the notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Blue Blanc Rouge right here at Talkin' Habs. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next video. Peace out, y'all. Oh, see you maybe on the live stream tonight. Bye, y'all.